Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Normally in my channel I would, as you all know, teach English, but today we're having this special episode because we have a guest. His name is Matush, a foreign expat living in Mongolia. Today we're going to talk about how is the life in general in Mongolia, how do you see how a foreigner sees living a life in Mongolia, and lastly we will talk about during the pandemic situation in Mongolia and what are the actions we're taking against these viruses. So let's start the conversation. Thank you for being with us today, and please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Matush. I've been living in Mongolia for about 3 years. I'm a Kenyan expat. I've been living here and working.
My first question would be, how do you find living here in Mongolia?
Well, I live in the main city, Ulaanbaatar. There's about 1.5 million people here. It's a very, very big city. The city itself is just like any other city in any other country. You can find whatever you want here. Very nice restaurants. If you want to do something very specific, like go to the rock climbing gym, you can always find everything here. The weather here is a little bit different. Summertime is when I came 3 years ago, and actually very nice weather during summertime, about 20 degrees Celsius, very comfortable, until it hit wintertime. And wintertime, it gets really cold. When I mean cold, it gets really, really cold. It's about minus 20 degrees usual, and sometimes it goes down to all the way to minus 40 degrees Celsius. So you really need a really good jacket to be able to move around the city during wintertime. Yeah. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad.
It's not too bad because we're all surviving, right?
Yes.
So would you recommend people to come to Mongolia? If there are people watching from different country and thinking about, what does this place look like, and should I go there or not? What would you say to them?
Of course, I would recommend Mongolia. Mongolia has been known as the land of eternal blue sky. What that really means is if you drive from the city and you drive for 5 hours in any direction, you realize that for the last 5 hours, the landscape has been looking exactly the same for the last 5 hours. It's the way it looks is very hilly, grassy land. You can see all the way to the horizon. And once you get there, you'll see that behind that hill, there's even more hills and more grass after that. And this hilly, grassy land is sprinkled with sheep. There's lots of sheep and sheep herders around the country. And I tried counting them. There's literally thousands of sheep per herd. Like you drive over the next mountain, you just see like a sea of sheep roaming around the sky. It's just very beautiful to see. I would really recommend it. Anybody to come here.
Yeah, it was a very nice description of the country, especially the countryside. I would totally agree with what you say, because to add to the point what you just said, is if you go to the west side of the country, you would see hills and water and lots of trees, and it's so beautiful. But if you go to the east side, there's like a Gobi, right? It's the most amazing place. It's like this eternal sky, as you have described. Yeah, that's so amazing. I even have this imagination in my mind from the last travel we had. So it was very nice to think about it. Not that it's winter. Let me ask you this. What would be the one thing that you have expected it to be different before you came here, and now you see it differently?
So coming here, moving here, living here, I tried to have an open mind. I had no expectations. But of course, things pop out that you weren't expecting at all. I think one of those things is just visiting, you see the landscape, you see how the city looks like, and so on. Living here, you get to know the people here. You get to know how they interact, how they talk, and so on. And one thing that's a little bit different that I wasn't used to is how honest and straightforward people are here. They don't typically show much emotion when they talk, when they discuss anything, and they usually tell you straightforward what they think. which is a little bit different than from the Western culture where there's a bit of kind of niceness, sometimes forced niceness in the conversations, where here people are just straight face. So at first impressions, it seems as if people are maybe a little bit colder, but in the end, I realized after a while is that people are actually very, very nice and they're very family oriented. If you go to the Gobi Desert and you visit some herder and you knock on their door, they'll welcome you, they'll give you food, they'll let you stay over. They're very, very welcoming. This is not just a one-off herder. This is all the herders are like this, and all the people as well. They are on the inside. They're very, very good people and very caring for each other. There's a holiday on New Year's, on Mongolian New Year, where for 3 days everybody visits each other. It's for 3 days you visit all your family and friends, and it's just straight 3 days from the morning on the first day until the end of the last day. You visit maybe 30 families or how much family you have, until you're tired of visiting everybody. And it's just amazing to go through this.
Okay, thank you again for describing it in a very nice way. Yeah, I would totally agree with what you said. And even me, I don't know if I go to the countryside and I have nowhere to stay, I would just knock on the door of a random place and then they would just let me in. That's the tradition we had from the back in the days, and we still do have. And also to add to the point of the holiday, yes, we have that holiday which is called Tarasa, and it's the holiday where we usually eat a lot of food. It's called bots, like looking like dumplings, but it's so delicious, and it's coming soon. It usually happens in February, so I'm very excited about it.
Let me add that. When my first Sagansad, I visited on my first day, the first family I visited, and there was very delicious food everywhere. They had these dumplings, as you mentioned, and lots of other food around. I ate everything I could. I was so full. And then around the first day on the first visit. Now the second visit of the first day, I was already so full from the first visit. For the rest of the day, I realized is that I had to kind of pace myself during this holiday. Because everywhere you go, they expect you to eat something and drink something that you really need to make sure you don't.
And they give you gifts after that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Before you go.
Yes.
But they would also expect the same kind of hospitality when you visit their place in the next day or the same day even. It's so interesting how people meet 2 or more times in one day. Like I'll go to your place and you come to my place. It's not like, oh, I've seen you yesterday or something. Yeah, that's the very unique part of the holiday. Yeah. So let's move on to our next subject of the day, and that would be our current situation and how we are handling with the coronavirus. For almost 11 months. We didn't have any single transmitted case in Mongolia. We were living in a life like there was no virus at all. The only thing was we couldn't fly and people couldn't come in, but except the chapter flights, right, of course. And we were living as if there was no virus, and I was freely going anywhere I want to. And I was very thankful for the people who are taking very well care of me, and for me it was amazing. And what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, really, we've been living kind of in a bubble here in Mongolia, just because of the way they've done a very great job at locking down the borders in the beginning, and for a long time we had no cases here in Mongolia. We felt like nothing was happening around,
we were watching on the news that, there's so many cases in this country, that country, but we didn't have anything happening that's affected our life. But at the beginning of November, which is this month, we had this one transmitted case, and we started taking very strict restrictions against the virus being transmitted throughout the city or the country as a whole. And we are now at the end of 2 weeks lockdown, and I was very surprised how lockdown went very well, or should I say it very strictly, right? Tell us more about it. Like, what are your thoughts about this situation as?
And really, the lockdown here means lockdown. It's not just a soft lockdown, I would say.
Yeah, it's not soft.
We've been I've been inside for last 2 weeks. I only had to go out for a few times, and really the streets that are usually filled with lots of traffic, lots of pedestrians, are completely empty. And not only that, there's roadblocks everywhere. On every street, there's either completely blocked off with rocks and barricades and so on, or there's at least police asking you, where are you going, what are you doing? And if you don't have a good reason, they'll send you back. Lockdown means lockdown here. Yeah, so it's been actually very, very good response, I would say, is they have implemented a very strict lockdown for hopefully a shorter amount of time, as opposed to having a soft lockdown for a longer period of time. So hopefully soon enough we'll be able to ease this lockdown and be able to go back to work.
Oh yeah, because of the lockdown, there were almost no cases. There were like 3 to 5 cases each day, which is nothing compared to many other countries. So hopefully we will have less lockdown for less amount of time and have a greater benefit because of that. So lastly, I would like to add my point on how I generally see the pandemic situation. Of course, I am not happy about the situation, but at the same time, it made me realize how happily they lived before the pandemic. But the lockdown situation is not too bad either, to be honest, because I got to spend time with my family and give them special care, which I couldn't give before. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's gonna go back to normal and we will live happily again. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So thank you so much for accepting my offer to be in my channel.
Oh, no problem.
If you guys want to watch something like this again, please let me know down in the comments, and we can have more of this. And if you want to visit Mongolia, stay in touch with us and maybe we'll catch up. If you agree.
Sounds good. Yeah. Call me.
Okay, thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you again.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.